Ladies and gentlemen, Halos and Heroes back again. Today's topic is How Not to Take Things Personally by Fredrik Imbo. If you would like to see this without my additional commentary, I will have the link in the description below. But again, as with Care and Faith, I feel this is a very, very relevant topic to recovery, to help ward off ideation, to be a more progressive you. So without further delay, Fredrik Imbo, How Not to Take Things Personally, TEDx McAllen. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Good evening. Good evening. How are you? Are you good? Great. Welcome to this match. This match will take exactly 18 minutes. Okay? And you're all part of the same team. Mechelen. Okay? Hey guys, I would like to see fair play on the field, respect, and positivity. Is that okay for everyone? Cool. Good luck. 1 year ago, I decided I wanted to become a football referee. Not because of the money, though. I only get paid 20 euros per match, so I won't really get rich by it, will I? No. I decided to become a referee for two other reasons. One, to stay in good shape. Two, because I wanted to learn how not to take things personally.
I love how a lot of these people will take real-world experiences, things that they do to be productive. This is a weird color and it's making me look all weird, but this is the screen, not me, I promise. There we go. So I like how they take real-world experience, things that they have done in their real lives to better equip themselves with the tools required or needed in their emotional well-being.
I can see some people nodding. You're probably thinking being a referee is the perfect environment to learn how not to take things personally, isn't it? Because the spectators hardly ever shout encouraging or positive things. No. What do they shout? Come on.
Are you blind?
Yeah, good. As a referee, I'm the scapegoat. Apparently, I'm always wrong. It's always my fault. And I wanted to learn how not to take all this personally. Because I really struggle with this. For example, when I drive slowly because I'm trying to find a specific location and somebody is just driving behind me, I feel hunted, especially when they start honking and flashing their headlights.
That is the worst feeling in the world. You're like driving along, and I've had times where I've ended up in like a dead-end alley where there's no hope of turning around, and yet the person behind me just happens to live in the last house, and now I'm blocking their driveway, but I can't turn around because they're right behind me, and they're not moving to get out of my way, and I'm freaking out, and they're freaking out. And I can tell you from past experience, I did not handle it well. If I handled it at all, I probably freaked out and just sat there like a deer in the headlights. But I understand what he's saying, is what I'm saying.
I take it personally. I know I shouldn't. But it just happens. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. Or when somebody cancels an appointment last minute, I get the feeling that I'm not important enough. Again, I take it personally, even professionally. I'm a public speaker, like tonight. This is what I do. I give keynote speeches, and I really like it, as long as I can draw my audience into my story. Because the very moment I see somebody is not paying attention, for example, when somebody is looking at his smartphone, it just happens. I take it personally. Relax. You are safe tonight. Don't worry. Feel free to take your smartphones, and you can even.
That is one thing to this day that is a pet peeve of mine, although I have embraced it because it's part of the culture. I personally, when I'm speaking with someone one-on-one or in a group setting, it can be distracting for me when someone's looking at their phone and you don't feel like they're fully listening. But I think part of that comes from the fact that when I used to get on my cell phone and someone was talking to me, I was only hearing half of what they were saying, nodding, smiling, and agreeing. So I feel like that's how people perceive, or how, yeah, that's my perception of that person at that point. Is if that was me, and again, it goes back to that Karen Faith video. If that was me and I was talking to you and you were on your phone, and I know I didn't catch half of what you were saying, is that the case with you? Are you really fully grasping everything that we're talking about? And sometimes I get surprised and the person can recite the entire conversation back to me. So that kind of takes, some of the fight out of it. It's just something that I still need to work on.
And start talking to your neighbor. I will not take it personally. Why not? Because now, here and now, I'm very conscious that this can happen. And more importantly, I have a strategy to deal with it. So tonight, I would like to share this strategy with you. Are you interested? Cool. Because I guess I'm not the only person in this room who sometimes takes things personally, right? Imagine you invite a friend to go to the movies and she replies, "Oh, sorry, I have to work." But you see a picture on social media of her having dinner with some friends that very night. Or imagine you really have worked very hard on a project. You're really proud of the end result, but the only thing you get is criticism. So you come home and you would like to wind down and share this terrible experience, but while you're telling your story, the other one walks away to switch on the TV.
So what he's looking at right there is the compounding feeling of failure. And while it's only one incident that may have triggered it, right? You were looking forward to going to a movie with a friend. The friend said, "I can't, I'm working," and you let it go right then. You're like, "Okay, I got it." And then you see him on social media and you're like, I guess I wasn't that important. Well, maybe the dinner that you're seeing is a break from work and they go right back to work. But you don't know that. All you see is the picture of them at dinner. It's easy to misconceive the situation. Maybe your approach to discussing the presentation going wrong or going in a different direction than you expected is you feeling like a failure. Maybe I feel like a failure after the presentation instead of realizing that maybe I just didn't communicate it properly or I made a mistake during the presentation. It's a matter of perception at that point. And maybe if the way I'm talking to the person about the presentation and the way it went, maybe I'm not communicating effectively. But what I am doing but with all of these different methods is I'm taking accountability for my actions, because that's really all I can control in this situation. I can look back at the presentation and go, all right, maybe I wasn't as logical or in touch with the concept as I thought I was. Or maybe I'm shouting at the person I'm talking to and they're not part of it. They're not part of the problem.
Now, who would take one of these situations personally? Show me hands. Come on.
I used
Lots
to.
of you. Why? Why do we take things personally? Somebody says or does something and bam, we feel hurt, neglected, offended, betrayed by the other one. That's what we believe though. It's the other person's fault. He's responsible for what we feel. He's the one to blame. Now, hang on. Who says that? Which part of us is speaking? It's our ego. Our ego thinks that others should take us into consideration. Our ego doesn't want to be criticized. Hell no. Our ego wants to be acknowledged. I'm right. Is this what you want? Do you want to be right? That's exhausting. When my ego takes over, I'm fighting all day. I'm in a constant struggle with the rest of the world. And it drains my energy. Wouldn't it be so much easier to not take things personally? Because then, no one has power over you.
Do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? Is a lesson that I learned the hard way. When you dig in an issue, and you dig and dig and dig, maybe you are right. Maybe you're 100% on point. Does it matter? Does it affect you? Will it affect you in a year, 5 years, 10 years? Does it pertain to you personally? If it doesn't affect you or your outcome or your situation, let it go. You'll be a lot happier as a result. By letting being right take control of you, you lose touch with what really matters. Again, I'm speaking from myself, my personal experience. As I always say during these, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a therapist. I'm just somebody who's been there in that position. I don't have all the answers. I'm trying to pass on to you what I have learned as a result of videos like this, situations like this, and things that have occurred within my life that have changed my scope of focus to things that actually relate to me, that matter to me. It's not an approach of narcissism. It's more often than not, it's situations that have humbled me and taught me humility. The complete opposite. I bring them to you from the I perspective because I can't speak for anyone else except for me. I can't tell you how your situation is going to occur, how you're going to take it. It's just not going to happen. So I tell you how I deal with it.
You're free. You experience much more harmony and connection between you and other people. Of course, because your energy can go towards nice things instead of endlessly battling against the things that drive you crazy. So the question is, do you want to be right or do you want to be happy? I know what some of you are thinking. I will make sure I will be happy by being right. Well, how do you do it? How to become happy by not taking things personally. You are standing at the kickoff of the match of your life, the match by which you will learn how to stop taking things personally. So as a referee, I brought my coin for the toss. And every coin has two sides, heads or tails, and they stand for two strategies. 2 strategies to no longer taking things personally. Sir, good evening. You're the captain of this huge team. You can choose heads or tails.
Heads.
Okay? You're lucky, it's heads. Are you ready for the first strategy? Okay, here comes. First strategy. It's not about me. What do you mean it's not about me? This sounds weird, doesn't it? Because when I take things personally, I'm convinced it is about me.
See, one of the first things that we learn in Smart Recovery is how to process our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. And as he'll go on to discuss, and I won't spoil it again, if it's not about me, it doesn't matter. I can be empathetic or sympathetic toward the situation, but I don't have to dive into it. A little more on what I was talking about before, though. So for me, my personal situation was I had an intrusive, invasive thought that kept recurring to the point where I was convinced that I was right. I refused to let that go to the point where I pushed people away that mattered to me. I've forgiven myself. I've apologized to the person, and that situation has resolved itself, which is great. But it shouldn't have come to that. It should not have come down to the fact that I ended up pushing someone away whose only intention in my life was to make it better, to be there as a supportive person, and yeah. So, and I wasn't even right. At the end of the day, I wasn't even right. So I was neither right nor happy.
When I see someone is looking at his phone, I feel offended. I think, hey, I've put so much effort and time in this presentation. I want respect. I think me, myself, and I. Sounds familiar, no? Yeah. But in fact, it isn't about me. What if I try to look at it from the other person's perspective, asking myself, why? Why is he or she looking at his or her smartphone? Maybe he has just received an important message, one he has been waiting for. Or the topic of my presentation is not really his cup of tea. Could be. Or on the contrary, he finds it very interesting and he wants to take notes on his smartphone. Very smart to do that, by the way. I simply need to shift my focus from me to we, and I won't take it personally. If I try to see the intention of the other one, I make space for understanding instead of irritation.
See, and like we talked about in the Karen Face video as well, when we shift from the personal to the perspective, when we stop trying to seek approval, we stop the people pleasing, and we focus on perspective and the perspective of others, we put ourselves in their shoes. We learn how to be more compassionate and understanding.
Does this ring a bell with you? When you put your son to bed, but he doesn't want to, he throws himself on the floor, kicking and screaming, "I hate you!" Do you take that personally? No, you don't, because you know this is not about me. It's about what he wants, what he needs. He's angry because he just wants to stay up a bit longer. That's all. So the first strategy to not take it personally is it's not about me. Look at the other person's intention.
It's not about me. Look at the other person's intention. The person behind us that's honking and speeding may not be mad at us. Maybe their wife is in labor and they're trying to get to the hospital. Has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them and their situation.
When a driver is tailgating and flashing his lights, he probably does it because he's in a hurry. It's not about me. You see? It's as simple as that. In theory. Because in real life, it turns out to be a hell of a job. Do you have any idea, ladies and gentlemen, how many thoughts our brain produces a day? 50,000. And guess how many of them are positive? Only 10,000. So this
50,000 thoughts per day. And 1/5 of those thoughts are positive. Keep that in mind. That is a huge disparity between all of our thoughts and the ones that are positive.
all positive. Only 10,000. So this means that 80% of what we think are negative thoughts. That's a lot, isn't it? When you see two colleagues talking to each other and just then they look at you and they start laughing, do you think, oh, they must have noticed my new shoes and they want them too? Now, what do you think? Darn, they're laughing at me, they're gossiping about me. So it takes a lot of effort to correct yourself and say, hang on, I have no clue. They might be laughing about something that has nothing to do with me. So, seeing the positive intention of the other one requires a lot of discipline.
That is something that, as a people pleaser, attention seeker, I had to learn to flip the thought process. Like I talked about earlier, when we go from seeking approval to seeking perspective, it's a lot more satisfying, because that means that I am figuring out my issues on my own. And I'm able to go to someone else and go, okay, here's my thought process. And here's the solution that I came up with. Is this correct? I refer to it now as cautious optimism. Trust but verify. Trust that we're on the right path. Trust that I'm on the right path. That I'm on the right process of thought. Verify that what I'm thinking is rational. And then if it's not, find a silver lining for it. Or find a way to flip it in such a way that it becomes rational. And then I am happier as a result.
And training. And that's why I became a referee. To train my brain not to take things personally. I train my brain an hour and a half a week, the entire period of a match. I say this for the football dummies. And now before the match, I'm warming up. Not only physically, but also mentally. I give myself some pep talk in the dressing room. Fredrik, watch out. Lots of things will trigger you during the game. You're going to make decisions who some will not agree with. And they will shout unpleasant things at you. So I tell myself, Fredrik, don't take it personally. It's not about me. They just want to be right. They simply want their team to win.
I apologize. I had to adjust some settings really quick. Obviously, the green screen was creating some unwanted concerns. So we'll go ahead and continue.
You see, when I focus on the intention of the other person, there is no need to take it personally. When I apply this strategy very consciously, I admit it, I feel much more at ease on the field. When the coach, the players, or the spectators do not agree with my decisions, I'm less easily thrown off balance. This strategy, ladies and gentlemen, works. But not always, unfortunately. Because some words they shout at me, like here, do really hit a raw nerve. You're a loser. Choose another hobby. You know what? Go fishing. Ouch. Maybe they are right. Perhaps I took the wrong decision. Maybe I am a loser. Honestly, it's how I feel sometimes. You see this? Every coin has a flip side. When this first strategy, it's not about me, doesn't work, it simply means it is about me. I have to look in the mirror and question myself. As a beginning referee, I still feel insecure, especially.
See, in Smart, we call this playing the tape through. And we use an ABC worksheet. We also play the tape through. The ABC worksheet is the activating event, the behavior, and then the response. Then there's the D&E, which is the how to change the perspective to, or the feeling to generate a better outlook. Playing the tape through is, okay, maybe I made a shit call, maybe I made a bad decision, but does that make me a bad person? And then I can look back on other times that I made good calls, that I made reasonable calls, and I can counterbalance the, oh my God, I'm a failure with, hey, I can't be a failure because I've made good decisions, I've made good calls, and I have been a positive influence. So there's maybe in this one case I made a mistake, but that doesn't make me a failure or a bad person.
Me, I never played soccer. It is about me because it has something to do with my insecurity, my doubt about myself, or a part of myself that I haven't come to terms with. Do you see my point, ladies and gentlemen? Even if I know that a driver is only tailgating because he's in a hurry, I still take it personally when he honks or he's flashing his headlights. So I must question myself. Probably I was driving too slowly. I'm aware of it. I just don't like that clumsy part of myself. Why else would I take it personally, right? When I say, ladies and gentlemen, you are an orange, who would take this personally? No one, right? Why not? Because nothing in you believes that you are in fact an orange. An orange? Unless, of course, that you are ginger and you feel bad because of that.
See, and that's a correlation that we make too. Like, if somebody called me a tennis ball, why would I take that personally? Oh, because I have no hair. Maybe they're making fun of the fact that I'm bald. Does it really matter though? Does it really? In the long run, in the scheme of things, at the end of the day, is it going to matter? Not at all. It's a name. Let it bounce off of you. It's easier said than done, but trust me, once you start learning how to focus and bouncing things off of, letting things bounce off of you, it's a whole lot easier and much more productive.
Which is luckily not the case with me. But when someone says, Fredrik, you are so selfish. Ouch, I do take it personally. And it only happens because I know there is some truth in it. If I'm honest, I'm aware of the fact that I do not always take into account other people's needs.
See, it's easy to be tone deaf in certain situations and not even realize that that's what being tone deaf is not reading the room correctly, not reading the way that people are responding to how you're acting. And maybe you didn't mean it negatively or mean to hurt someone's feelings, but let's say I'm talking to an amputee and I start making jokes about it. because I have in the past. You know, I mean, is it right? No. Is it meant to be offensive? No. I'm not trying to hurt the person's feelings. I'm actually trying to lighten the condition with humor. But is it easy to take personally? Yeah. Especially if they don't know you. Especially if they're sensitive to it. Maybe they've struggled with it because they've had to learn how to walk again. Or, you know, they've had to learn how to do certain things to work around it. And now I've just made fun of it. It's being tone deaf. And so, you know, maybe I thought it was funny. Maybe I thought I was making that situation a little brighter for them. But in reality, I was just making it worse.
You are being criticized and it hurts. Chances are big that this is rooted in your childhood. Maybe as a child, you were never good enough. When you came home with a 9 out of 10, they said, hey, and why not a 10? You see, you can only take things personally if it somehow touches a raw nerve. And that's the moment to give yourself some empathy. Ooh, this hurts, darn. I'm longing so hard for recognition. And I feel sad if I don't get it. You see? And you can also, why not, speak up. Just tell the other one what's going on inside you. Hey, I'm in the middle of my story here and you just walk away to switch on the TV. It feels as if you don't care about my story.
Assertive communication. Assertive communication. It is never being passive, letting people walk on you, not speaking up for yourself, not feeling like you have a voice in the conversation. Aggressive communication. It's not going to get your point across. It's just going to either intimidate people or it's going to make them not want to talk to you at all. Passive aggressive. I'm going to let people walk on me until the pressure in the cooker builds up to the point where I blow up. It'll take one small thing to unleash years of whatever. And then there's what he's talking about. It's a very, very effective, adult, reasonable method of speaking to someone else, regardless of how you're feeling. I feel upset when you walk away from me when we're talking. I feel like you're not listening when you're on your phone. I feel like that simple statement can change the entire tone and feeling of the conversation. Maybe that person does not realize how you feel. They're not a mind reader. If you respectfully tell them, I feel, then they know. It's a realistic expectation. If somebody comes up to you and they're screaming in your face and you're like, what did I do and why are you yelling at me? It's because you're not a mind reader. You don't know what they're going through or why. Take a step back and take a breath and just say, hey, I feel like you're being very aggressive right now. How can I better help you? How are you feeling right now? And maybe try to deflate the situation.
It's not nice. by opening up, by being vulnerable, by telling what you feel without blaming the other one, you increase the chance that the other one will understand you and take your needs into account. You see what I mean? To conclude, how not to take things personally. 1, it is not about me. Look at the other person's intention. If that doesn't work, 2, it is about me. Give yourself empathy and speak up. Ladies and gentlemen, please, pretty please, do not take it personally, but I really do hope that you will take a couple of things personally within the next hours and days. Only if you do, you can test out these 2 strategies. Imagine, just imagine, if we could all put this in practice, wouldn't that enhance our relationships enormously? Together we could create a better world. Wouldn't that be great? And as a referee, I even earn some money by it. Who would also like 20 euros to learn how not to take things personally? Show me hands. Show me hands. Oh, so many.
The way this ends, and this will be the last time I interrupt, but the way this ends, please pay careful attention, because this right here is what inspired me to share this video.
Who still wants the 20 euros now? Who still wants the 20 euros now? Who still wants the 20 euros now? And who still wants them now? Why do you still want these 20 euros? People may attack you, criticize you, or ignore you. They can crumple you up with their words, spit you out, or even walk all over you. But remember, whatever they do or say, you will always keep your value. Thank you.
Oh, that gives me chills every single time. No matter what anyone else does to you, says to you, or belittles you with, just remember you still have value. As always, this has been Halos and Heroes. I love you. I care. You're not alone. Thank you for being here.